Hey everybody. So it's October 2020, and we're just about to go into our winter season, like fall, winter here in Japan. And it's so weird because this time last year, I remember thinking in my head, in my heart, that, oh, it's my last winter in Japan. I'm gonna make it for all it's worth. And, it's kind of sad and nostalgic to start my final winter in Japan, but good riddance, right? Like, won't it be nice to just have a Florida winter again? And, this will all just be a distant memory and I'll only remember the good stuff. Well, here I am about to do it again. My fourth winter in Japan after me like cursing winter and saying, never again, never again. I was really looking forward to coming back to Florida. And just to reframe a bit, uh, in March is when it kind of hit the fan here in Japan. Um, school was canceled at my Japanese school, and we had to take it seriously. And I did my best to like secure the supplies and materials that I needed. Of course, an emergency kit, but also like cans of beans. That was the hardest part, is to find beans in Japan. Um, there's not a big, just like refried beans or like rice and beans or like bacon and beans. Like that was really hard to like shake my head and say, why don't we have our survival resources available? Like, why don't we just have like beans and rice available? I was able to find some online, and then I was able to find some at like import shops, but my concept of what we need during crisis was a lot different than what Japan considers needed in a crisis. So, but anyway, yeah, in March, my plan was to do that. In April, I wanted to keep a routine, go for a walk around the neighborhood. I went back to affirmations to make sure that I felt like I had direction in my life. All that uncertainty was really hard, especially because I had to make that decision to stay in Japan or to continue with my plan to come home earlier this year. It was tough. Oh, it was tough. There were so many stoic moments on Japanese mountaintops where I'd look out into the mist and think, shall we do this again? Shall we return home? It was just such a, goodness gracious, like, thinking back on it now, it's very surreal because I'm lying in the bed that I've made, and all things considered, I think I made the right decision. I have a guaranteed job here right now. I have an income, and that's more than what some people can say. And so I'm very fortunate for that. While also feeling fortunate, I can also feel bummed that I'm not spending time with my friends and family in like providing support and also receiving support in the ways that I wish I could accept. Touch. I was standing in my kitchen last week or the week before and thinking about when the last time I touched somebody was. And not to get dark, but it's been a long time. And that's so tragic. I mean, we talk about just like positive touch or like handing someone a book or like nice job there. Like, even though like pats on the back or handshakes and stuff are not so common in Japan, when I would meet up with my foreigner friends, we would hug each other and hug each other goodbye. And things have changed a lot, and now I'm kind of further away from that group of friends, and it's um it's just surreal. Like, how did I get here? And no, I mean, I've had plenty of time to think about how I got here, but just want to reframe. So March and April was like damage control, making sure that I do what I need to uh, I don't know what the word is, but just to like homeostasis, uh, during uncertainty. And what next? May and June. This was really when the America was really taking the lead when it comes to corona infections, and I had to realize, I mean, worst case scenario, if I went back to my old job, uh, it wouldn't even exist. I worked in management for a food service, and food service has drastically changed, so that's not even an option. Not also considering the fact, like, what have I been doing for 3 years? I've been an ALT in Japan. What does that mean? What does that mean? Oh, well, I've been an assistant language teacher with the JET program. What does that mean? Like, these experiences are not directly transferable to the next job. I won't be able to pick up a 9 to 5 job with this without, you know, reframing. So there didn't seem to be so many promising leads going back to America, for this year. But my heart was just so set. Like, I remember going home for Christmas, 2019 to 2020, that bridge Christmas vacation. I remember thinking, what if I just didn't go back on the plane? What if I just stayed here in America and lived it up? What if I just lived it up and, shirked my responsibilities and just did what I wanted to do for personal success and enjoyment and reconnecting? And that image fluttered in my mind a bit. And I really expected myself to be back in America right now, getting ready to celebrate Halloween with my nieces, or getting ready to see my family for Thanksgiving, getting ready to show my family like how I learned how to cook, and became an adult in Japan. And this time, I should have been preparing to be having my first Christmas back in America as like an American resident again. I was really looking forward to reliving all my American traditions and all that stuff. And, you know, yeah, like, I think it's hard to complain, or at least it's hard to complain publicly, because I am very fortunate and there's people who have it so much worse. So, I'll spare you. But, and then it was like May and June. I remember just like sitting looking out on the mountain while also reading the news every morning, which devastating. Um, I remember looking at the numbers in America and especially in Florida and thinking, if everybody's behaving like me, if everybody's staying home and social distancing and wearing a mask, and the numbers are still going up, we have no way to prevent this from happening. It wasn't until I realized that, oh, you mean people see the news and they know how dangerous this is and how preventable it is, and we're not taking even the simplest action to prevent these harms? Like, we're experiencing a historical pandemic. It's one thing to look at it in the future and look back and say, oh, I guess that is how it happened. But we're in the present. Like, this is happening now. We have a chance to do something. Now is the time to take action, or to not take action and just like stay home and preserve. But people aren't doing that, and that sucks. The less people care about each other, the more infections there are, and the longer I can't come home. And I know that sounds really petty and selfish, but that's kind of a reality, that I can't really come home until America is safe again. And I don't know when that's going to be. So the whole point of this is to reframe. So I remember thinking about maybe 2 Christmases ago when I came home from America, and it was a very, very cold winter in one of the places where my plane was taking off, like Texas or something. I don't remember the details, but I do remember thinking, oh, well, if they cancel the flight, then I'm gonna either be stranded in Texas somewhere in a airport, or I could take another day in with my family and in my home. So I took an extra day. I extended my period of stay in America for an extra day, And I'm trying to apply that to this current situation where, I could be stranded in America somewhere, in my home, but I wouldn't have the luxury of an occupation and an income and freedom and independence. So I had to make a choice to either sleep all year. Here's a metaphor: to sleep all year in an airport where, like, they have a food court, but it's not the food that I like. That's part of the metaphor. Or I could spend an extra year in the home that I've created for myself here in Japan, and it just means I have to miss my family for an extra year, and that sucks. That was a really hard decision, and that really sucked, and it still sucks, and I haven't had physical contact with a person in a long time. I mean, when I worked in elementary school, at least I could, like, bonk the kids on the head, or, like, we would play, like, "Go, go, 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 Junkin' Train. Let's go, Junkin' Train." We would just play games where we'd have to, like, grab each other, or, like, hold onto each other's shoulders, or, like, pass a ball to each other, like, active stuff. Now I work in high school, so, I mean, there's really no points in the day where you make contact with anybody. So it's tough. And I'm an introvert, but I still like to have interactions with people. So the reframing is like, um, I kind of see it like I'm on an island in Japan that's kind of like the Bahamas. And a lot of people want to go to the Bahamas as a vacation. And in 2016 and 17, there's nothing I wanted to do more than to go live in Japan. And I had like a goal for like 3 years. Now I'm at a point where it's kind of lost its novelty, but it's still, I can find satisfaction. But the thing that I wanted so much, now I just want to go home and, like, reflect on it, and understand the true meaning it had to me and the lasting impact. Like, I'm really looking forward to that time where I get to look back and see, oh, such a nice time. But now that time is just continuing, continuing, and with no end in sight. That's hard. So, what it would be like if you moved to the Bahamas. No, you went on vacation to the Bahamas, and then you realized, oh no, the typhoon is coming. So either I, like, risk flying home and then get caught in the storm, or stay in the Bahamas for another week. Because at the end of the day, I'm pretty much taking a work study. What was that? It's like I have a year of vacation in Japan where I have a job, but I also get to explore and just enjoy being an adult. I say that to contrast where, if I were living with my parents, I wouldn't have my own refrigerator, I wouldn't have my own laundry, what do you call it, machine. I wouldn't have the life of independence that I like to have here. That said, it's lonely, and there's nothing really I can do about that. That sucks. I'm painting my walls right now, so that's why I'm, like, peeling off stuff. It's not dead skin, it's just like paint. But see, I'm making the most of a bad situation. Over here, that coffee colored wall is like, has a sandpaper finish. So it looks quite bottom of the barrel. So I stripped it off, and now I'm painting it like a silver gray color. Making lemonade right now out of some lemons, and developing a taste for lemon, and missing the oranges back in Florida. There's a metaphor. But it's almost 9 o'clock, and I want to get ready for bed. But I just want to say, like, compared to my ideal, I mean, my ideal would be that Corona would never have happened and I'd be back home just starting a new job somewhere in an office and kind of having my own apartment and catching up with my old friends and telling them stories about Japan and like seeing how the Sean that I came to be reacts and applies himself in the American world to see, how much I would still cook in America if I didn't have to make all my own food. Um, I became an adult here and I learned how to everything that I eat is made by me, except for tiramisu. I'm still, trying to make a recipe for tiramisu, but, you know, oats and chicken and rice and eggs and veggies and everything is all by me. And I want to have that experience where, living in America with everything so convenient and stuff, like what every meal I get come from Trader Joe's or Whole Foods or I don't know, McDonald's, like would I become so nostalgic that I really want to see how I would react in America, but I'm still in this experience with no timeline of when I can aim for the next experience. Again, I know that I'm really lucky. Um, I just mm. So I'm reframing my experience to be like, if I have to spend an extra year, during 2020, 2021, I think I'm in the best place on the planet that I can be, that I had access to. Japan is safer than some countries. Um, we've had school. I mean, pretty much since June, we haven't stopped having school, where a lot of countries, I feel like, are unable to have school safely. So there is that security. I mean, the Japanese government still puts a priority on having English classes and hiring my position. That's so lucky. I'm real thankful. Okay, so yogi tea, I drink yogi teas, but here's one of the fortunes. You have not to find out the reality. You are the reality. Like, you don't have to find the reality that you've been seeking. You are the reality. Maybe I don't know quite what that means yet, but isn't that interesting? I'm thankful we've got holidays and traditions from America that I can celebrate here. Like I've got my Halloween lights up. My friends sent me pumpkin spice stuff. I'm so thankful, 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 thankful to smell pumpkin spice again and to eat pumpkin spice again. When that stuff came, I just consumed it. I always remember Maurice Sendak or whoever it was that drew the Where the Wild Things Are books. He said like the best compliment he ever received was when he got a letter from a young reader, and the author sent him an autographed original drawing by Maurice Sendak, and he got a letter back from that child that said, "Hey, this is that child's mother. Um, can we have another thing and you laminated or something because my son loved your letter so much that he ate it. He ate an original Marie Sendak, which would have been worth, thousands or whatever's. Um, but he loved it so much that he ate it. I think there's a reason why we call comfort food, and it does a body good to have familiar tastes again. It makes me angry that I don't have access to the things that my body craves. Like, I mean, we joke about it, but pumpkin spice reminds me of Halloween. I mean, imagine. living your whole season without apple pies and pumpkin pies and Thanksgiving and seeing Halloween decorations. Like I brought all of this from America. It's a wild time we're in, y'all. And we're all in this together. Not in the sappy Power Rangers or Planeteers way. We're all in this together in that the actions that you take directly affect me. And it irritates me when I see big parties and I see strangers assaulting each other, one wearing a mask and one not. And that's maybe I need to spend less time on the internet and on Twitter and watching videos of people being mean to each other, but you guys, we got to get it together. We can't just wait for the authority to say it's time to start being prudent. It's time to start being compassionate. It's time to use common sense and believe in science. It's too late to wait for that, for some authority to say that. We have to take it upon ourselves. It's frustrating, but I think we're all going to learn a lot from this year. Um, and I'm still learning, and believe me, I'm so looking forward to coming home. Maybe I can just save up a bunch of money here in Japan, and if I have enough for like a certain amount of time, like 6 months or whatever, maybe I can come back bold faced, to America and give myself 6 to something months to find some kind of job, virtual job, and then try it that way. I mean, we always have the power to choose. It's just sometimes it doesn't feel that way because the choices are so clearly skewed one way. Like this was the obvious choice for me, and it's been a 20-minute session. So anyway, we're gonna make it. We have to take accountability, even when other people aren't. That's part of being an adult. Seeing people have big parties, seeing people going to concerts again or conventions again or going about normal life, going to the market without a mask, like it's as simple as wearing a mask, like you can make a mask out of an old t-shirt. I know I'm speaking to the choir because the people in my life are prudent, but somewhere along the line we turned the word prudent into something that's bad. Well, I guess it's bad in certain situations, but anyway, we got to make compassion cool again. I love you. I love America. I love Japan. I love my job. I love my life. And I love the idea that someday I'll be able to go back home. But like I was saying, I'm really thankful for the seasons, and I'm thankful I've got my leftover, holiday decorations that I can put up. I'm thankful I can customize this room to be whatever I need it to be this year. And I basically have about 10 months of free time, where I don't have to enter the real world, or I don't have to enter the American workforce, or I don't have to make any big decisions about that part of my life. In a way, that's a luxury. It's giving me time to think, but it's hard to think when the world is crashing and crumbling down on you. Well, everybody, we're all in this together. So I think I've rambled enough. Thank you guys for listening. I love you. We're going to get through this. We have to. And thank goodness for holidays and seasons that, keep things feeling fresh. Let's have a great one. Cheers.